the reason why the Shabbos is called Shabbos Nachamu is because the Haftarah, this week's parsha, begins Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. Is there any connection between the parsha itself and Tisha B'Av? There is an absolute connection, and there's an imperative that the Shabbos after Tisha B'Av you always have to learn Parshas Va'eschanan. In fact, we know the parsha before Pesach in a non-Ibra year, in a regular year, is Parshas Tzav. Parshas Tzav you learn right before Pesach, Shabbos Hagadol, in a non-leap year. The Shabbos before Shavuos is very usually Bamidbar. The question is, what do you learn the parsha, the Shabbos, right after Tisha B'Av? Says the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Taf Reish Ches Sif Daled. Take a look at number 2. La'olam koren Savas Aaron koidem Pesach b'pshuta. Tisha B'Av koidem Va'eschanan. Tisha B'Av always comes before Parshas Va'eschanan. Says the Shulchan Aruch. What's a mnemonic? What's a trick to remember? Tisha B'Av A, Va'eschanan B. Here's the trick. When it comes to Tzav, Pikdu Upischu. Tzav is, well, that's for another time. What Tzav has to do with Pikdu? Tzav is Pikdu Upischu. Tzav and then Pesach. What do you learn before Shavuos? Bamidbar Shavuos. The mnemonic is Manu v'Itzru. Count and Shavuos. You ready for this? Sumu v'tzailu. Fast and pray. Fast, that's Tisha B'Av. And pray, what does that have to do with? Va'eschanan. Fast and pray. Soimu v'tzailu. You got it? You're walking down the street later, and somebody says, "What's this week's parsha?" You whip it out from your back pocket. Soimu v'tzailu. That's the mnemonic. You fast and you pray. First Tisha B'Av, then Va'eschanan. Va'eschanan, of course, means to pray. In fact, how many prayers? What does the Medrash say? Look at number 10 for a moment. Uminayin shehispalel Moshe ba'osei haperek chamish meos v'chamisha asar pamim. How do we know Moshe Rabbeinu prayed 515 times? Shenemar va'eschanan el Hashem ba'osei hileimar. The word va'eschanan begematria hachi havi. The word va'eschanan has a numerical value of 515. So Moshe Rabbeinu davened 515 tefillos to be zoicha to get into Eretz Yisrael. So the mnemonic is tsoimu v'tzailu. Fast and pray. Says the Gemara in Pesachim, a very interesting story. That when Yaakov Avinu was on his deathbed, and he was surrounded by his sons, he wanted to tell them VIP information. He wanted to tell them very special information. He wanted to tell them when Mashiach was going to come. As he's about to reveal when Mashiach is going to come, it eludes him. He loses it, right? He wasn't feeling it anymore. He lost the information. So Yaakov Avinu was afraid, maybe it's your fault. Maybe one of you guys sitting around me is unworthy, and therefore the Shekhinah left me. Just like Abraham had a kid like Yishmael, and just like Yitzchak had a kid like Yaakov, he says to himself, maybe one of you is not so good, just like our grandfather and father. Talking to their father. What's his name? Yisrael. They say, Shema Yisrael. Listen up, Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem Echad. Just like in your heart there's only one God, so too in our heart there's only one God. He responds, he gives Shevach v'Hodah to Hashem. He says, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai L'Olam Va'ed. Says the Gemara, our Chachamim have a big dilemma. Because on the one hand, Yaakov Avinu said, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai L'Olam Va'ed. And on the other hand, so what Rabbi said, there's a concept we all know, Tefillah be'ez tzara. Person has a difficulty in life, has a specific predicament, whether you hold tefillah as d'oraisa or d'rabbanan, right? Nevertheless, everybody agrees that be'ez tzara, at a time of distress, there's a biblical obligation to cry out to Hashem. Va'eschanan el Hashem, ba'ez hahi. What's the next word? Leimar. That's the Medrash. Amar, look at number 6. Dvarim Rabbah, Parsha Beis Oisvav. Amar Rabba Zarya. Leimar la doiros. What Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, he's charging future generations that just like when I was be'ez tzara and I wanted to enter Eretz Yisrael, I davened sheyu mispalim b'shas tzara. Shaharei Moshe af al pi shenemar lo savar asayadin azeh. Even though Moshe was told don't go into Eretz Yisrael, he davened. So from Moshe Rabbeinu we learn that you're supposed to daven be'ez tzara. Pinchas, was written by Rav Pinchas Friedman, Rosh Kolim, the Chasidei Bells. Amazing sefer, amazing drush, but we're going to add a very big chiddush at the end. So he says, based on this, Moshe Rabbeinu is the model, is the paradigm that when a Jew is in trouble, he cries out to Hashem. And what was Moshe Rabbeinu crying out for? He's crying to go into Eretz Yisrael. And even though he davened 514 tefillos, he didn't give up. He wasn't miyayish. So we see from here like this, Soimu, fast on Tisha B'Av. And if even though it's the year 2014 and you've been fasting for the last 2,000 years, and you don't think it's ever going to come, no! Look at Moshe Rabbeinu. Soimu, fast, v'tsoilu, and keep on davening, just like Moshe Rabbeinu. He davened 515 times, he kept on going. Okay. That is the worst proof that anyone could ever come up. Why would we use Moshe Rabbeinu as the example of to daven be'isara? It didn't help him. It didn't do him anything. Says Chassam Sofer, first of all, an amazing idea. What's the significance of 5:15? Va'es Chanan el Yud Kei Vav Kei. Plus Yud Kei Vav Kei is what? 26. What's 5:15 and 26? 541. The gematria of Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu davened 5:15 plus Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is 26, to get to the numerical value of Yisrael. That was the significance, but we'll add more. Now here's the very important thing. What was the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu? Pasuk says like this: Va'es Chanan el Hashem, va'es hahi leimar, Hashem Elokim, Ata hachiloisa, laharos esavdecha. You have only begun to show your servant, es gadlecha, your greatness, yes yadcha chazaka, and your mighty hand. Right? La'olam, yisaper adam, shivcha shalmakim, v'achar kach yispalo. First Moshe Rabbeinu praises Hashem. Ma Hashem, you're great, yad chazaka, zraya natuya. Oh, and now here comes the question. Ebrana, I want to cross the era es ha'aretz ha'toiva, and see the good land. Asher be'ever hayarden, ever hayarden, hahar ha'toiv. I want to see the good mountain. Hazeh, this one, the halavanan. I want to see the lavanan. That's the tefillah of Moshe. That is the recorded tefillah in the parsha. What number tefillah is that? So I would have said that is tefillah number 515. Right? The Torah doesn't list all 515 tefillahs. So which number tefillah is Hashem, I want to go into Eretz Yisrael? This presumably is Ebrana. This is tefillah 515. To which Hashem said, so ask the Chassam Sofer, why would this be the example of davening be'isara? Hashem said no. Says the Chassam Sofer, a tremendous chiddush. Ready for this? Ebrana is not tefillah 515. Va'es Chanan is 515 tefillahs. Ebrana is tefillah 516. But Hashem said, no, don't say it. Don't say number 516. Rav Lach. No, the Chassam Sofer learns. The way he reads it is Va'es Chanan el Hashem. I said 515. And I wanted to say Ebrana. But Hashem said Rav Lach. That's a chiddush of the Chassam Sofer. Ebrana was never said. It was he wanted to say it. In other words, I daven va'es Chanan el Hashem b'esei leiman. And I said, Hashem, you only begun. And had it not been for Vayisaber bi, Hashem would have listened. If he would have said 516, then Moshe would have gone in. But Hashem said, don't say it. So the Chassam Sofer says, look how powerful the tefillah of Moshe is. If he would have said Ebrana, he would have gone in. It's just Hashem didn't want him to say it. So from there we learn how important it is to daven be'isara. Because we see from Moshe, if he would have said it, he would have been answered.
How do we know?
Because Hashem said, no, as the Chassam Sofer says, he wanted to say. Take a look at the words of the Chassam Sofer. Yeah? No, it's not. Chas v'shalom. That's your characteristic of it. I'm saying Torah's emes. No. Says the Chassam Sofer, he never said it. Rav Lach. Oh. So in other words, what we see from here is the greatness of Tefillah B'Yisara. Had Moshe Rabbeinu said Ebrana, he would have been answered. So you see how important it is to daven B'Yisara. So one second. So the question is, Rabbi Isai, this really doesn't help us at all. Bottom line, Moshe davened the first time, Hashem said no. Moshe davened the second time, Hashem said no. Moshe davened the third time, Hashem said no. He davened 515 times, Hashem said no. And the 516th, Hashem said, I don't even want to hear. So what's the big inspiration to daven b'Yei Sarah? If anything, it makes matters worse. The fact that this is a tefillah that Hashem told Moshe, don't even say, but if he would have said it, he would have been answered. But Hashem didn't even want him to say it. Another question is, here we have Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest man who ever lived, Adon HaNeviim. He brings down the man, brings down the slav, he gives the Torah to Klal Yisrael, and the man can't daven one tefillah with the Rebbeinu Shalom answering him? I mean, 1, no. 2, no. I mean, whoa. He's Moshe Rabbeinu. If he's not going to be answered, then no one's going to be answered. What's the meaning of this? Hashem rejected every single tefillah Moshe Rabbeinu ever said? Why is Hashem torturing Moshe Rabbeinu? Listen, how many tefillahs does Moshe Rabbeinu need to get answered? 516. So Hashem's torturing him. If you're not going to listen to him anyway, why you let him go? Why you let him go? It's like, you tell somebody, if you walk from here 500 miles, I'll give you $1,000. So then you say, go. So the guy goes, and he takes the walk, and an inch away, you knock the guy out. It's achzorius. If you don't want to give it to him, so don't let him start. Why would Hashem let Moshe Rabbeinu go? You stop him just short of where it's going to work. And since when does the Torah record tefillahs that people would have liked to say? It's a very odd thing. Ebronah, Moshe never said it. Moshe wanted to say it. V'amar Rebbe Elazar, Maidasiv. What does the pasuk mean? V'holchu amim rabim. Many nations will go. V'amru, they're going to say, L'chu v'nale el har Hashem. Let's go up to the mountain of God. El beis Elokei Yaakov. To the house of the God of Yaakov. The Goyim say, ask the Gemara, Elokei Yaakov, v'lo Elokei Avram v'Yitzchak. Why the house of the God of Yaakov, not the house of the God of Avram and Yitzchak? Says the Gemara, very mysterious. Not like Avraham, who called the Beis HaMikdash Har. What did Avraham call the Beis HaMikdash? Mountain. Like the pasuk says in Vayera, Asher Yeyamer Hayom Behar Hashem Yira. When Avraham sees Har HaBayis, he calls it mountain. That's his big chachma. That what is this? A mountain. No, the Goyim say no, not like Avraham that called it a mountain. And not like Yitzchak. What did Yitzchak call the Makom HaMikdash? It says Vayetze Yitzchak Lasuach Basadeh. Not like Yitzchak who calls it a Sadeh, but like Yaakov who called it Bayis. This is the meaning. Vayikra Hashem HaMakim Ahu Beis Kale. So la'asur lavai, the Goyim are going to say, we don't want to go to Abraham's Har, Abraham's mountain. We don't want to go to Yitzchak's Sadeh, Yitzchak's field. We want to go to Yaakov's Bayis. Very mysterious. Number one, why did Abraham call it a Har? What's the big chachma that Abraham called it a mountain? Reb Aaron Mibelza, the Belza Rebbe, when he had a conversation with Reb Elchanan Wasserman. So here you have a Hasidic Rebbe, and you have the Rosh Hashiva Baranovich, two of the Gdolei Olam. And what were they discussing? They were discussing what? The Beis HaMikdash Shalmala. And the Belza Rebbe quoted a Medrash Nelam on this Gemara in Psachim that says like this. The first wall of the Beis HaMikdash was, listen carefully, with his machaneh, and he built the first wall of the Beis HaMikdash Shalmala. Avraham came along with his group and built the second wall of the Beis HaMikdash Shalmala. Yitzchak came along and built the third wall of the Beis HaMikdash Shalmala. Yaakov came along and he built the fourth wall. And Moshe Rabbeinu built the roof. What's this supposed to mean? Says the Belza Rebbe, Mamish Oyem V'Noyer. And 103. Machaneh is 103. 103. Okay, Machaneh 103. Comes Avraham, and he has to build the second wall. So what does Avraham call it? Har. Har is 205 plus the word itself, 206. 2 times Machaneh. Machaneh is one wall, 103. Har is 206, the word plus the, right, Hey and Reish, 205 plus the word, 206, that's the second wall. Comes Yitzchak, he builds the third wall. He calls it Sadeh. 309 is Sadeh. Sada, Sin is 300, Dalet is 4, Hey is 5, 309. Sada. Comes Yaakov Avinu and he builds the fourth wall. What does he call it? Bayis. Bayis is 412. 4 times 103. Comes Moshe Rabbeinu. If he's going to build the roof, how many tefillos does he have to say? 515. Vayaschanan el Hashem ba'isa lemar. Moshe Rabbeinu davened 515 to build the roof. Unbelievable. Machane 103, the first wall. Har 206, the second wall. Sadeh 309, the third wall. Bayis 412, the fourth wall. And what builds the roof? Vayaschanan 515. Comes the Belzer Rebbe and he has 1 point. Moshe Rabbeinu davened how many tefillos? 515. He built the Beis Hamikdash Shamala. Ebrana, I would like to cross into Eretz Yisrael. The Eretz Ha'aretz HaToiva, and I want to see that good land, Asher Be'ever HaYarden. But you know what I want to see? Ha'ar HaToiv, the good mountain, the Har HaBayis. The HaLevanoin! Says Rashi, what's the Levanoin? Number 14. Zeh Beis HaMikdash. Very nice, I built Beis HaMikdash Shamala. I'm going to say the 516th tefillah to build Beis HaMikdash Shamata. How do I know Levanoin is Beis HaMikdash? Remember when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai met Vespasian? And he says, Vespasian, what's going on, king? Vespasian says, I'm not a king. He said, I know you are a king. Because if you're taking over the Beis HaMikdash, only a king could destroy the Beis HaMikdash, like the Pasuk says, V'ha-Levanoin ba'adir yipol. And Levanoin is the Beis HaMikdash. So here, listen to what's happening. Moshe Rabbeinu davens 515. Now you'll ask, if you need 103 to build one wall, then all you should need to build another wall is another 103. And the third wall is another 103. Why the second wall needs 206? The answer is because the second wall is a wall and it has to connect to the first wall. And the third wall is a wall and has to connect to the other two. And the fourth wall has to connect all of them. So you need 412. And the roof has to put all 5 sides together. You need 515. And Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to add another tefillah. 516. He wanted to build the earthly Beis HaMikdash. Hashem said, enough. You did a good job already. You built Beis HaMikdash Shamala. So it comes out beautiful. What's the source in the Torah that when a Jew is in trouble, he should daven to Hashem? Not true. Not true. You know what Hashem said to the tefillah of Moshe? Yes, 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 yes. Hashem answered every single tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was mispalel to build the Beis HaMikdash Shamala. God did not ignore. God did not reject. God was makabel every single one of those 515 tefillahs. Chas v'shalom, Moshe Rabbeinu would offer a tefillah and God would reject it. Every one of those tefillahs was accepted. And the 516th, if he would have said it, that also would have been accepted. But Hashem told him, he can't ask it. The Beis HaMikdash, the third Beis HaMikdash. The third Beis HaMikdash, yeah? Who's going to build the third Beis HaMikdash? So, let's see. What does Rashi say? Rashi in Masechta Sukkah says, Rashi has 2 kashas. Number one says Rashi, Ein binyan Beis HaMikdash b'layla. You can't build a Beis HaMikdash at night. It says v'yoyim hakim es HaMishkan. It has to be the day. And you can't build a Beis HaMikdash on Yom Tif. Ein binyan Beis HaMikdash doicha Yom Tif. So how could we say we want Mashiach, it can't come at night, it can't come on Yom Tif? Says Rashi, what are you talking about? That's if we're going to build it. But the third Beis HaMikdash we're not going to build. Says Rashi in Sukkah Mem Aleph Amud Aleph. Says Rashi, Hani mili binyan abana b'dei Adam. That's only if the Beis HaMikdash is built by man. Aval mikdash ha'osid sha'anu mitzapin. But the Beis HaMikdash that we're yearning for, Banoi, it's built. Umeshuchlal, it's already put together. Hu yigale v'yavim me'ashmayim. It will just be revealed. It's there in Shemaim. It's fully built. It's loaded. It's ready to go with all the marbles and everything. Even the red ribbon is there. All we need to do is cut it. Everything is finished. It will come down as Shemaim and will be revealed. By the way, Rabbi Isai Tosfos says the same thing in Masechta Sukkah. He says, look at number 16, Al HaKarchach, Tzarech L'chalek, like Rashi says, that's only binyan biyad Adam is limited by restrictions, and binyan Beis HaMikdash b'layla, and binyan Beis HaMikdash b'Yom Tiv, but the future Beis HaMikdash, it's already built, it will just be revealed. Yeah? So I have a question for you. Look at the Rambam. The Rambam tells us, How will we know if Mashiach is Mashiach? You know, people throughout history, there have been more than 20 false messiahs. How do you know if someone's Mashiach or not? So the answer is, the Rambam says, HaMelech HaMashiach, Osid Lamoid Ulahachzir Malchus Beis David. Liyashna. Number one, Mashiach will restore Malchus Beis David. So if you see somebody, and they say he's Mashiach, and he didn't bring Malchus Beis David, so it's not true, it's a fake, it's a fraud, it's a phony. That's the first. Number two, he's going to build the Beis HaMikdash. So that's another thing. If he didn't build the Beis HaMikdash, he's not Mashiach. And he's Mekabetz Nidchei Yisrael, he gathers the Jews to Eretz Yisrael. But the Rambam says clearly, one of the jobs of Mashiach is what's he going to do? Build the Beis HaMikdash. But that's not what Rashi and Tosfos say. Rashi and Tosfos say it's going to come down in Hashemayim. So you see it's Machlokes Rishonim. Rashi and Tosfos say it's going to come down in Hashemayim. The Rambam says it's going to be built by Mashiach. You can't say that. There's another Gemara in Sukkah. The Gemara in Sukkah says on Nun Beis, Amud Beis, there are 4 carpenters. Arba Charoshim. There's a pasuk in Navi. Vayireni Hashem Arba Charoshim. 4 carpenters. Who are the 4 carpenters? Amar Reb Chana bar Bizna, Amar Reb Shimon. Who are the 4 carpenters? Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef, Eliyahu, Kayin Tzedek. These are 4 carpenters. So he asked me a simple question. Why does Mashiach have to be a carpenter? So no, maybe the Gemara is saying, in order to be Mashiach, you have to be a carpenter. No. It says Rashi, you have to be a carpenter, you have to build the Beis HaMikdash. So it's not going to help you to say it's Machlokes Rashi and the Rambam. Because Rashi himself is saying Mashiach is going to build the Beis HaMikdash. And asked the Aruch LaNer of Yaakov Ellinger, asked a number of very interesting questions. How could you say the Beis HaMikdash is going to come down in Hashemayim? Don't we end off every single Shemona Esrei? Please build the Beis HaMikdash. What do you mean? Beis HaMikdash is built already. It's just going to come down in Hashemayim. We should daven Sheyigala Beis HaMikdash. Beis HaMikdash should be revealed. Or throughout Shas, it always says, you can't do this. Mehero Yibana Beis HaMikdash. It shouldn't say Mehero Yibana Beis HaMikdash. It should say Mehero Yigala Beis HaMikdash. Says the Aruch LaNer, beautiful. You ready for this? Rashi's right. Tosfos is right, the Rambam's right, everybody's right. Who's going to build the Beis HaMikdash? God. Who's going to build the Beis HaMikdash? Mashiach. How does that come? There are 2 Batei Mikdashim. There's a heavenly Beis HaMikdash, there's an earthly Beis HaMikdash. Nothing in this world has life force without a spiritual core. A guf has an neshama. Even the fire that they put on the Mizbeach had a heavenly fire that descended into it. We're going to build Beis HaMikdash Shalmata. There's a mitzvah d'oraisa v'yasuli mikdash. It's going to be overseen by Mashiach himself. We're going to build it. But what's the soul of the Beis HaMikdash? What's the neshama of the Beis HaMikdash? What's the life force? That's the heavenly Beis HaMikdash. The heavenly Beis HaMikdash is already built. It's already built. It's ready to go. It just has to be revealed. We are going to build the earthly Beis HaMikdash, whereupon the heavenly Beis HaMikdash, says the Aruch LaNer, is going to descend in the Beis HaMikdash Shalmata and give it its life force, says the Aruch LaNer. So we will build it, Mashiach will build it, it will be built with human hands. But we're going to need the heavenly spiritual Beis HaMikdash to infuse it with chiyos. What? Right. So now it comes out beautiful. Who built the Beis HaMikdash Shalmala? God with his Machaneh built 1 wall, Machaneh 103. Avraham with his Tfilos built Har, the 2nd wall, 206. Yitzchak with his Tfilos built the 3rd wall, Sadeh, 309. Yaakov with his Tfilos built the 4th wall, Bayis, 412. Moshe Rabbeinu built the roof, 515. Moshe said, while we're at it, let's go for gold. I want to build Beis HaMikdash Shalmata, and then the Beis HaMikdash Shalmata will infuse it. Hashem said, no, sorry, that much you can't do. But you see from Moshe Rabbeinu the importance of Tefillah B'Yisara, because his Tefillah B'Yisara, never, you ever imagine somebody, look how successful he is, right? First Tefillah, answered. 2nd Tefillah, answered. 3rd Tefillah, answered. Bam, bam, bam. Every Tefillah, Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem said yes, yes, yes. Hashem was Makabel, the Rachamim of Ratzon, and even the 516th Tefillah, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to say, Hashem said, no, we can't say. Let's digress parenthetically for a few moments. If you look in the beginning of Parshas Maseh, very interesting pasuk. Pasuk says like this. You ready? says, Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael, Asher Yatzim Eretz Mitzrayim. These are the trips. How many, by the way, how many different trips do they make? 42. You ready? Listen carefully. Vayichtoiz Moshe es moitzaehem lamaseihem. Moshe wrote they're going out. Ve'ela maseihem lamoitzaehem. So the question is, why does the pasuk say twice in the beginning, moitzaehem in the beginning of the pasuk, and moitzaehem at the end of the pasuk? Says Rabbeinu Bechaye that we have a tradition from all of our Nevi'im that the Geula HaAsida will directly parallel the original redemption from Egypt. Everything that happened in the redemption from Egypt will occur again. Rabbeinu Bechaye in various writings, he writes about how La'asad Lavei before Mashiach, Hashem will send Makois on the Goyim, Hashem will split the Yam Suf, all the Nisim that took place in Mitzrayim will replay themselves La'asad Lavei. Says Rabbeinu Bechaye, but you know what else will replay itself? The Jews, when they left Mitzrayim, they were fardarbin in the midbar, right? They went from one place to another place. They were from here to there. 42 different stops, yeah? 42. La'asad Lavei, before Mashiach comes, Klal Yisrael will also be in the midbar. They'll be fardarbin. They're going to go from one place to another, 42 places, until they go into Eretz Yisrael. So the question is, exactly which Jews are going to be in the Sinai desert, get lost? I mean, who are these people who are going to be lost in the Sinai desert? Well, first of all, we know the Bnei Yissaschar tells us that on the pasuk V'chamushim alu Bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. Chamushim could also mean 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 Jews came out of Mitzrayim. The rest of them, they died in the 3 days of darkness. This is the meaning of the pasuk. Uvahu oivdim, right? B'eretz Ashur, v'hanidachim b'eretz Mitzrayim. Which Jews are nidachim b'eretz Mitzrayim? We left there a long time ago. Answer is 80% of our people, 240,000 Jews, are still lost somewhere in Mitzrayim. So la'asad lavei b'yimais HaMashiach, they're going to come out and they're going to be lost in the midbar 42 masais, and they're going to come into Eretz Yisrael just like we did. And who's going to take them out? Who's going to bring them out of the midbar into Eretz Yisrael? Well, we have a very interesting opinion of the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, which has to be understood in the right context. But the Or HaChaim HaKadosh's opinion, and the opinion of the Zohar HaKadosh, is that who will be Mashiach? Moshe Rabbeinu. The Or HaChaim asks, Mashiach has to come from Shevet Yehuda, David. Or HaChaim HaKadosh says it's not a question. Why is not a question? I'll let you look in the Mar Makaimas while you're falling asleep tonight, or even before then. You could try to figure out what he means. Moshe Rabbeinu was kolol all of Klal Yisrael, but that is in number 26. By the way, Or HaChaim HaKadosh also says in Parshas Re'eh, in order for someone to be Mashiach, they have to be born in Eretz Yisrael. If they're not born in Eretz Yisrael, they're disqualified. What? Parshas Re'eh. But anyway, says Or HaChaim HaKadosh, which doesn't necessarily work with this, because here Or HaChaim is saying Moshe Rabbeinu will be Mashiach. Moshe Rabbeinu, why was he buried in Eretz Yisrael, in the Midbar? Right? He didn't make it into Eretz Yisrael. Because he still has to take the majority of Klal Yisrael who died in Mitzrayim, and plus we know most of Klal Yisrael never made it out of the Midbar, right? We know every year on Tisha B'Av 15,000 Yidden died, so you have 80% of the population still in Mitzrayim, another 90% in the Midbar. And Hashem, the Medrash says, Hashem says to Moshe, Moshe, you're the shepherd. You're going to go in and the sheep are going to stay behind. No. You stay with them until the end of time. So when Mashiach comes, you'll bring them in. So now we understand a little bit better why the Torah records the Tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu. We asked the question, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ebrana v'eretz ha'aretz ha'tov hazeh v'halavana. I want to come in. Says the Chassam Sofer, Moshe Rabbeinu never said that Tefillah. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to say that Tefillah. Not say a Tefillah, and the Torah record a Tefillah Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to say. You know why? Suggest the Shvilei Pinchas. Because it's very reasonable to assume that when Mashiach comes, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to gather the 80% of the Jews who are lost in Mitzrayim. He's going to take them out of Mitzrayim. Then he's going to gather the majority of the Jewish people that died in the Midbar. He's going to bring them to the precipice of the Yarden, Whereupon Moshe Rabbeinu is going to daven the 516th tefillah. He's going to say, God, I couldn't do it for the last 3,000 years. Ebrana, now I want to go in. V'eres ha'aretz ha'toiv hazev ha'levanayin. Now I want to go in, and Hashem's going to say, now you could go in. So now what we're learning is, Moshe Rabbeinu said, how many tefillahs? 515 tefillahs. And he added a tefillah that he wanted to say, says Chassam Sofer, but he didn't say it. He didn't say it. There's a 516 tefillah that he wanted to say, but he didn't say it. Okay, you ready for this? Comes the Arizal. And the Arizal says, I will reveal to you what the 516th tefillah was that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to say, and Hashem didn't let him, but we say it. We have the guts to say it. What tefillah is that? Yiskadel v'yiskadesh shemei Rabbah. What are the Rosh Tevos? Says Arizal. Yiskadel is Yud, v'yiskadesh is Vav, Shmei is Shin, Rabbah is Reish, B'gematria 516. This is the 516th tefillah that Hashem said, Moshe, you can't say the 516th tefillah. If you're going to say the 516th tefillah, Mashiach's going to come. So I can't have you say it. Says Arizal, we have the guts, we have the audacity, we are bold enough to stand up and recite the tefillah that Hashem did not let Moshe Rabbeinu say. What is that? Yiskadel, Yiskadesh, Shmei Rabbah, tefillah 516. What do the words Yiskadel, Yiskadesh, Shmei Rabbah mean? Right? Yiskadel, it should be made great. Yiskadesh, it should be made holy. Shmei Rabbah, his great name. What's the meaning? Why is it called Shmei Rabbah? It should be Shem Rabbah. What's Shemei? Says Tosfos in Masechta Brachos Daf Gimel. Who's the Master Vitri? Who's the Master Vitri? Master Vitri is a Talmud of Rashi. His name should be great. Says Tosfos in the name of the Master Vitri. The word Shemei is a compound word. Shem Ka. Yehei Shem Ka Rabbah. We know that until Mashiach comes, God's name is going to be Ka. His full name is Yud Kei Vav Kei. But until Mashiach comes, his name is going to be Ka. So we daven that even though God took an oath, that as long as Amalek is in the world, Ein Shmoi Shalem, Vein Kisei Shalem, until Amalek is wiped out, we're davening Yehei Shemei, Shem Ka, the Yud Kei should be Rabbah, should be Yud Kei Vav Kei. By the way, Tosfos does not like this pshat of the Master Vitri, and he dismisses it. However, the Arizal vouches for this pshat. The Arizal says this is a kavanah you should have when you say Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Yehei Shem Ka Rabbah. You want the name Ka to be complete. Comes the Torah. Not only is the Torah a fan of the Master Vitri, the Torah says like this. There are two places in Kaddish that you should have this kavanah. When you say Yehei Shmei Rabbah, you should think Yehei Shem Ka Rabbah. That God's name, which is now half, cut in half. It used to be Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now it's Ka. We daven it should be Rabbah Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's the first. But when you say Yiskadel v'Yiskadesh Shmei Rabbah, you should also think the following: Yiskadel, it should be great. V'Yiskadesh, and it should be holy. Shmei Shem Ka Rabbah. You should think the following: God's name, which is cut in half, which is not full, should be made great and holy. The Shem Ka should become Yud Kei Vav Kei. So again, okay? Says Targum Yushalmi. Okay, a little story. Says the Targum Yushalmi. Yaakov Avinu is about to tell his kids when Mashiach is coming. But he loses it. It eludes him. So he says, maybe you guys are like Abraham and one of you is like Ishmael. Maybe you guys are like Yitzchak, one of you is like Esav. Whereupon they say, no, relax. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. What does Yaakov Avinu say according to Targum Yushalmi? Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivarach La'omei Amen. Wait a second. That's not what the Gemara said in Psachim. We started the shir that the Gemara in Psachim says that in number 5, Psachim Nun Vav, that what did Yaakov Avinu say when the kids said Shema Yisrael? What did Yaakov say according to the Gemara? Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Le'olam Va'ed. So what's the Targum Yerushalmi talking about? That Yaakov Avinu said, Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach. What, the Targum Yerushalmi is arguing on Shas? It's a Machlokes Bavli and Yerushalmi? Nah, there's no Machlokes here. The Aramaic translation of Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Le'olam Va'ed is Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Olam U'Me'amaya. It means the same thing. You ever notice that? Blessed is the name of the honor of his kingdom forever. May his great name be blessed forever. It's the Aramaic translation. By the way, Rav Asher Weiss points out that what we can't say out loud, we can't say Baruch Shem, but at least we could say Yehei Shmei Rabba B'Koram. That's the way of saying it. But what we're learning is, there's no machlokes between the Bavli and the Yerushalmi. When the kids said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Yaakov Avinu said one thing. He said, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Le'olam Va'ed. The Targum Yerushalmi is giving you the taich. What's the Aramaic taich of Baruch Shem? Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Olamai. Oh, you ready for this? It's mamish sweet like sugar. It's not the pshat that Moshe Rabbeinu just didn't say Baruch Shem. Right? We asked in the beginning of the shir. Yaakov said it. Moshe didn't say it. So we said it's not like Moshe Rabbeinu is morally opposed to it. But he would have a problem if we said it. Moshe Rabbeinu put up kol kares. Any Jew who says Baruch Shem is in big trouble. Moshe Rabbeinu is morally opposed to Baruch Shem. You know why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu davens 515 tefillos. And he wanted to say Tefillah 516. What's Tefillah 516? Ebrana. But the Arizal says Tefillah 516 is what? Yiskadel, Yiskadesh, Shmei Rabbah. Which according to the Torah is the same exact Tefillah as Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah. And God said, don't say it. You can't say it. It's not just Moshe Rabbeinu happened not to say Baruch Shem. Hashem told Moshe, you're not allowed to say 516. What's 516? Yehei Shmei Rabbah. What's Yehei Shmei Rabbah? Baruch Shem. So it's not
only at the very end.
Right.
Okay, very nice.
Right.
But it happened only at the
So Hashem
very
told him he can't say it. It's not just that he omitted it. He wasn't allowed to say it. So now we have a big dilemma. On the one hand, Yaakov said it. On the other hand, it's not just Moshe didn't say it. Moshe was told, Rav Lach, you can't say it. Says the Torah quotes a Chazal. It's not in the Gemara, it's a Zayar. Very interesting. The Torah says, Kala oine, amen, Yehei Shmei Rabbah, mevarach b'chol koichai, karin loy gizardino shel shivim shana. Anyone who answers amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah aloud, they tear up a 70-year decree. Simply the meaning is, even if God made a decree that your whole life will be ruined, 70 years is the lifespan of man, still Yehei Shmei Rabbah could rip it up. You hear that? That's the simple meaning. That even if there was a decree of Shivim Shana, but it has another meaning as well. When the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, how long was it destroyed for? 70 years. The second Beis HaMikdash was not really rebuilding of the first. The Shekhinah wasn't there. It was just a temporary reprieve. 70 years marks Churban Beis HaMikdash. Say Chazal, says the Zayar, if you answer Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah with all your kavanah, Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah is the 516th tefillah. That's the tefillah that's Ebrana v'Halavanoim. That's the tefillah that builds the Beis HaMikdash. It will tear up the decree of 70 years. What 70-year decree? The decree that the Beis HaMikdash should lay in ruins. One last idea. Says the Gemara in Brachas Daf Gimel. The Rabbi Yossi was walking by a churba, and he asked Eliyahu, what's going on in Shamayim? What's happening? So the Gemara here, you have a number 37. The Gemara says like this. Says Eliyahu to Rabbi Yossi. He says, you should know, my son. You should know that every day a Bas Kol moans for Churban Beis HaMikdash. Moans for Klal Yisrael that they caused me to destroy it. Says Eliyahu, God takes an oath. The following, that every time Klal Yisrael enters a shul and they answer Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah with Kavana, God shakes his head, "Oh, woe to me that had to exile my children." So you see from this Gemara that of all the tefillahs that make God yearn to bring us back and restore the Beis HaMikdash, what tefillah stirs Hashem the most? Amen Yehei Rabbah. Why is that the most stirring tefillah? According to everything we learned tonight, it's beautiful. Amen Yehei Rabbah is tefillah number 516. That's the tefillah Hashem told Moshe, you can't say that tefillah. You, Moshe, you can't. We could say it. We don't have the same power of Moshe. But the tefillah of Amen Yehei Rabbah is an echo, is a semblance, is a little touch, is a little flavor of that final tefillah that God did not let Moshe say. And if we're able, if we're Zoicha, to be able to be Mekayim what the Gemara says, to answer Amen Yehei Rabbah with all of one's kavanah, it creates such a stir in Shamayim. It creates such a inspiration in Shamayim. It arouses God to have mercy on Klal Yisrael, says the Zohar. Anyone who answers Amen Yehei Rabbah Chol Koichai, he could even tear up a decree of 70 years of Churban Beis HaMikdash. Says Rav Pinchas Friedman, now we understand the remez of the Shulchan Aruch. Tzaimu v'tzailu. Remember that? When you walk out tonight, all you need to say, remember 2 words. Tzaimu v'tzailu. Fast and pray. Tisha B'Av v'Eschanan. What does Tisha B'Av have to do with Eschanan? Tisha B'Av marks the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. What will rebuild the Beis HaMikdash? V'Eschanan. Moshe Rabbeinu built the roof. Hashem built Machaneh wall 1. Avram built Har wall 2. Yitzchak built Sadeh wall 3. Yaakov built Bayis wall 4. Moshe built V'Eschanan the roof. He wanted to say 516. He can't say it, but we could say it. The Rebbeinu Shem should give us siyata d'shmaya to be mekayim this inyan of answering and paying attention to Kaddish. Mishnah Berurah says it's so important. Mishnah Berurah says you're not even allowed. He says you're not allowed to learn during Kaddish. You're not even allowed to think in learning during Kaddish. Mishnah Berurah writes you're not even allowed to think in learning during Kaddish because it's such a elevated tefillah. According to the Arizal, this is tefillah 516. Hashem should be mekabel it. Nachamu, Ami, Yomer Alekeichem. Thank you for listening, Shkaya.
TorahAnytime.com sends cameras out day and night to video and audio record the best Torah classes around. We then make them available to you for free. So what are you waiting for? Watch, listen to, and download lectures on TorahAnytime.com today.